Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Reminder, last week's 5Q tape breakdown. Here's a snippet of the diversification strip. How well does he do? Again, guys, we talked last week about doing the 15-minute drill. This is just as important as the 15-minute drill because now you can learn from other people's successes and mistakes. So please make sure you're watching those. Guys, where's debt right now? Personal debt. We know national debt is through the roof. Where's personal debt? This is personal debt. This is household debt, non-housing debt, and housing debt. So mortgage balances shown on consumer credit reports increased by $126 billion during the third quarter of 2023, stood at $12.14 trillion at the end of September. Balances on home equity lines of credit, $9 billion, now increased by $9 billion, now stands at $349 billion in aggregate. Credit card balances, which are now 1.08 outstanding, increased by $48 billion. Auto loan balances increased by $13 billion. Upward trajectory that has been in place since 2011. Now it stands at $1.6 trillion. Other balances include retail cards, consumer loans, effectively flat with a $2 billion increase. Student loan balances increased by $30 billion. So where is debt today? So why should this be a concern for anybody in the stock market? Why should this be a concern for everybody in the stock market? Come on, guys, you're all financial advisors. Thank you. Ben says people will stop paying. You know what, more importantly, people might stop what? Our GNP, how much of our GNP is buying, right, Ben? How much of our GNP is made up of people buying crap? A small portion or virtually all of it? What portion? Yeah, 2/3, Bert, 2/3. So if people, that's right, John. So if people quit buying stuff, what's that going to do to profit margins for companies? So right now, people came out of COVID, and what everybody want to do after COVID? Buy. I mean, what's happened to air travel? You know, it's funny when people are saying, "Oh, the country is in a terrible straits," and oh, the country's gone to heck in a handbasket, and yet everybody's living the life of what? People are going on plane trips. People are buying crap. People are buying new cars. People are, you know, I'm scratching my head how everybody's saying, "Oh, the world is horrible," when everybody's buying crap. But the piper will be paid, and when the piper is paid, guess what? It's a consumer bubble, Tom. I would totally agree with that. So this is something you should be worried about or not worried about when it comes to your clients in the market. Because right now, where is the CAPE? Where's the CAPE PE? Shiller's CAPE PE, where is it? Saying the market's overbought or underbought? Or the market is, not bought, sorry. Overvalued or undervalued? Extremely overvalued. So guys, got to be at least 50-50 if you're not. Because here's the thing, if you're a money manager and the market falls 50%, what happens to your income? See how many people get this right. If you're a money manager, most of your clients' money is in money management, and let's say you can make a 1%. Well, I won't get into that. Well, here, Mark says 50%. I disagree with that. See, that's what I was hoping you would say, Mark. If the market falls 50%, what happens to your income? Does it fall 50%? No, I agree. No, why not? How much does it fall? It falls by more than 50%. Why? You lose customers, right, Dean? You lose customers. So that's a if you guys, at least if you put half your clients' monies into guaranteed FIAs, and half the money in the market, first of all, are you going to lose 50%? If the market falls by 50%, now you only lose what? So you got half in FIAs, half in the money market. Market falls 50%. That's right. You lose 25. You go down 25%. Also, you were paid up front for the FIA. Also, you could dollar cost average from the FIA back into the market, increasing that. Also, you're going to lose less customers. Guys, there are so many reasons to be at least 50-50, if not 60, 40, 70, 30 right now in FIAs. How to name a business. I haven't talked about this for probably 3 or 4 years. How to name a business, 7 helpful hints. Now, 7 helpful tips. First of all, what was the name? How many? Let's see if we get extra credit points here. What was the name of my business when I was made? The last 3 years in business. What was the name of my business? Anybody know? See if we get any extra credit points. I went through about 5, 6 iterations. Very good, Mark. 5, 6 iterations of clever names. And, I love writing. I love being clever. And I had several clever names. And then, funny thing is, I came up with one of the most boring names possible right before my business took off. And Mark's got it. The name was Castleknock and Clark. Castleknock and Clark. What does Castleknock and Clark sound? What does Deloitte and Touche sound like? What is Kaplan and Smith sound like? What do those things sound like? A law firm. That's right, Kevin. A law firm. Why did I see my other clever names all had to do with money and retirement and investments? If my names had to do with money, retirement, investments, and a client looks at that name, what do they immediately know or think that I want to do? Give them non-biased advice? What do they think I want to do? If my name has something to do with wealth management, with retirement, with income planning, with investments, they think I want to sell them something. But when it was Castleknock and Clark, they immediately thought, oh, this guy's what? Trying to sell me something, or he must be some sort of what? Consulting firms, law firms, and accounting firms have names like Castleknock and Clark, where there's partners. Now let's look at how that fit. And many of my top producers have changed their names to that format. Now, was that the only reason they started to succeed? No, but I absolutely believe it was part of the reason they started to succeed. Now, let's see how Castleknock and Clark falls into these tips that Entrepreneur Magazine came up with for helpful names. So, number 1, the name needs to sound some good when you say it out loud, like Coca-Cola, Jimmy John's. Well, does Castleknock and Clark work that way? Coca-Cola, Jimmy John's, Castleknock and Clark. Does it sound? Yes, it fits that. I'm a big fan of alliteration, using words that start with the same consonant. Coca-Cola, Jimmy John's, Castleknock and Clark. See, it works that way. Plan prep. Yeah, that absolutely. Use a name that has meaning to it and conveys a benefit. What's the conveyance and benefit from Castleknock and Clark? What does that convey? We just talked about it. What does that convey? Legit. That's right. That's what it conveys. It's a law firm. It's a consulting firm. It's an accounting firm. It's a professional. It's not some guy who's trying to sell me investments. Do you guys get that? How many people disagree that when you see a name, Deloitte and Touche, if I go to law firms, how many law firms in your area have 2 or 3 names like, and that's what they name themselves? Or do they name, hey, Ambulance Chaser Alliance? Is that what they name it? No, it signifies, yes, Bert, it's stability and professionalism. So that's the meaning I wanted to convey. Not that I was some sort of salesperson, but I was a professional. A professional. Don't make spelling a chore. Unfortunately, with my last name, spelling is going to be a chore. that's one that I didn't, that does not fit for me. So unfortunately, number 3, Castle and Clark does not obey number 3, but I have Catholic as a last name, so that was pretty much what I had to deal with. Be aware of initials. They're so boring. Yes, IBM, 3M have gotten away with initials, but IBM wasn't always IBM, right? It used to be what? International Business Machines. Then they changed it to IBM. So don't use initials. I mean, I could have said K&C, right? K&C sounds like what? A fast food joint. That's what it sounds like. So Caslick and Clark, don't use initials. Use specifics. Don't use a generic name that means nothing. I like names that take advantage of details such as numbers or days. My buddy Tim Ferriss found a pretty specific, compelling book called The 4-Hour Work Week. Other titles that use numbers focus on specifics such as 8-minute abs, 5-hour energy. But again, the problem is in our industry, if we start talking specifics, like 25, was it really a Clark? Yeah, let me talk about that for a second. Was it really a Clark? Before I finish the specifics, was it really a Clark? Clark was a guy that I worked with that I referred long-term care business to. I referred my long-term care business to him. So now I've had people use their maiden names, their mom's maiden names, their spouse's maiden names, and I've had people just make it up. Because are there entities that just have made up names, guys? Yes, there are. But could you find a P&C person you could refer to? Could you find a health insurance person you could refer to? Could you find an attorney you could refer to? And just basically, and if you don't need the permission to use their last name unless it's something very specific. I mean, if you're going to use Castleneck, you're probably going to have to talk to me about that because there's not very many of those around in the whole United States. But if it's anything that there's tons of those names around, that doesn't really matter. I happen to luck out into the person I refer. Well, and I searched around to find a person I could refer my long-term care business to, and that's who I was able to put that on with. Make sense? Yeah. So he actually, and he lucked out too because he was also the person that I gave my business to. I didn't sell my business when I started to do full-time coaching. I just gave my business to him and said, "Listen, here's the deal. If I find you churning, the reason I gave it to him instead of selling it to him is if I sold it to him, I knew he's going to immediately start churning all the accounts. So instead, I gave it to him and said, now here's the deal. If I find out that you're churning any of these accounts, I will help all my clients write letters to the insurance commissioner and the attorney general of the state of Minnesota to tell them that what you're doing is wrong. So I'm giving this to you. You have no need whatsoever to start churning these accounts. Just take good care of them. And, as things change, to go ahead and do that. But that's a little lesson on if you ever want to get rid of your business, how I think you should do it. So you don't screw your clients. Because if you sell it to somebody, they're going to immediately be what? Trying to churn those accounts to make more money, to pay off what they pay. So, but yeah, so try to find, again, there are lots of ways you can find out that second name. And if you're having problems with that, get on my calendar. I'll be happy to kind of work some ideas through with you. Make sense? So, use specifics. So, Cassie and Clark, would you say that's specific or not very specific? How many Castlenecks are there in the United States? A lot or not very many? There's probably like 35 of them in the whole United States. So is that specific or not specific? That's specific. Make sure you can trademark the name, obviously. Nobody's going to be using Caslick and Clark. Depending how big you are, want to build the brand, confirming your business name, and nobody's going to, if you have how many people are going to try to trademark Caslick and Clark or Taylor and Thompson or Smith and Smythe? Nobody. So, I mean, it works for that. Test it out. Number 7, test it out. When I asked my clients, what do you think about Caslick and Clark? Guess what they all told me? Well, it makes you sound more professional, Mike. So is that a good thing when they told me that, or not a good thing when they told me that? That was a good thing. So it made my decision for me. That's why I named it that. So that, guys, if you're at a situation where you're thinking you're going to make a change in your practice, you want to grow. Now, first of all, let's say, how will your clients react to changing your name? Are there large companies that have changed their names? Some of the biggest companies. Guys, how many X? Very good, Dale. X. Twitter changed to X. Facebook changed to what? These are the biggest companies in the world, and they changed their names to Meta. So if you change, well, how will your clients react to you changing your name to something sounding more professional? How do you think? Guess what they're going to say to you? They're going to say the same thing that my client said to me, which is what? I think it's a great idea. It makes you sound more professional. And why would they want you to sound more professional? What does a client get out of you sounding more professional? What does a client get out of you sounding more professional? Made a good choice, yeah. Confidence. Why? Tom, you're right, Tom. Confidence. You know, if somebody says, "Hey, who's your financial advisor?" and they say, Ameriprise, what do they immediately know? Oh, you're working with those people. Oh, Smith Barney. Oh, you're working with those people. Guys, or worse yet, Smith's Retirement Service, or whatever the heck else name that the people come with, or Wealth. Guys, what does that tell them? Oh, I guess he's just working with Fisher. Yeah, Fisher. I guess they're just working with some, investment house, some investment entity, people selling investments, people that want you to put their money with them. Guys, are these good things for people to say, which is, some investment place or some place that wants you to invest their money with them, or some place that wants you to give them money so they can invest for you? Are those things you want people saying about you? No. You want them to say what? He's an advisor. He's a financial advisor. This guy covers all the stuff. He doesn't just sell you investments. He's the real deal. And see, when you use those two names like that, that's what they feel. So do it, don't do it. But guys, again, there was lots of reasons I went from making 50 grand a year to $1 million a year in just 3-year period. But I will guarantee you part of that, or what made it a lot easier, was changing my name from something clever to deal with retirement to something professional that had no clue to, or no attachment to money, wealth, management, anything like that. I sounded like a professional and made it a lot easier to bring money on. Make sense? So enough on that. As the SEC marketing rule nears its first anniversary, most firms have yet to take advantage of testimonials endorsements it allows. Guys, can we now do endorsements? Can we now do testimonials? Whether you are a registered rep, an RIA, or an insurance professional, can you use endorsements? Yes, you can. So why do you want to use endorsements? Why do you want to use endorsements? Because social proof. Testimonials provide social proof for an advisor. They make it more likely that someone visiting your advisor's website will subscribe to a newsletter, download a report, or take another action that requires their contact information. It drives at least 20% increase in conversion sales on websites and landing pages when you have a testimonial from a client. Citing a statistic, and then this entity was citing a statistic from a study published later this year. So, and we all know that, right? When you're buying something, what's the first thing you look at? When you're buying something on Amazon, when you're Googling a real estate agent, when you're Googling a plumber, what's the first thing that you look for? What's the first thing that you look for? Ratings and reviews. That's right. Ratings and reviews. What kind of experience have people had? Does that have a major impact? Yes. And if it does for a plumber, does for a restaurant, does for a real estate agent, guess what it's also going to have work for? You. How many Google reviews do you have on when somebody Googles your name? If you don't have 20, 30, 40, guess what you should be working at all of next year? Getting those reviews up. There's lots of ways to do that. There's so many ways to do that. You can run contests. You can just ask people to do it. And if you have clients, guys, if a client refuses to give you a good Google review, what does it tell you about that client? They're sticking with you, or they're going to leave at the drop of a hat. If you ask a client to give you a review on Google and they don't want to do that, what does that tell you about that client? Are they a client, or are they a client waiting to leave? So if you've got 100 clients, you should have 50 reviews on your site. Now that may not cause people to go in your door, but I'll guarantee you this: if you're marketing or somebody's referred to you, they're going to look you up, and when they see you have 50 fantastic reviews, what happens to your ability to bring them on as a client? A lot easier or not easier? What if you only have 3 reviews? Because the chances are, when they're looking you up, are other financial advisors, if they look your name up as financial advisor, will Google also show them other financial advisors? Yes or no? On the same page, when they look you up, yes, it will. So what happens when they look at your Google review and you got 3 good reviews and somebody else has 49 good reviews? What do they start to question? Even though they were referred to you, even though they were at a seminar that you did and they're thinking about working with you, when they go to yours and you have 3, because they were looking for you, but the one right above you they weren't even looking for has 49 fantastic reviews, they start to question whether what? Why would I want to work with this guy? Geez, I thought this guy was pretty smart, and he's only got 3 good reviews. If I thought he was smart and he's got 3 good reviews, this guy with 49 reviews, he must be brilliant. He must be a genius. Guys, work on getting your Google reviews up. As it pertains to client testimonials, you may ask clients, this is the law. This is the law about the SEC. This is what you can do for testimonials. As it pertains to client testimonials, you may ask clients to leave a review for you or your firm. So you can ask them to leave a Google review. That's perfectly legal. You should not specifically tell them what to say in their testimony. So don't hand them a piece of paper and say, now, can you put this in there? But you can ask people for a Google review. You can ask people to send you a letter. If an advisor adopts a client testimonial statement in their advertising, the advisor must treat the testimonial statement as his or her own advertising. In addition, the advisor must clearly and prominently disclose that the testimonial was given by a current client or a private fund investor, that cash or non-cash compensation was provided for the testimonial if it was, and a brief statement of any material conflicts of interest on the part of the person giving the testimonial resulting in the advisor's relationship with such a person. I'm not going to pay my clients to leave reviews, so you don't have to put any of this stuff. Avoid entanglement. Entanglement can be defined as the extent to which an advisor has involved themselves in the preparation or presentation of third-party information. So you can't take somebody's stuff and then put that on social media as your own. So social media is the most prone to entanglement. Removing or editing. So you can put a quote on there, but you cannot remove or edit it, any review, let alone a negative review from your firm's Facebook page for the purpose of appearing more favorable. And if you did that, it's going to be considered entanglement and prohibited under the rule. So you know what? If you're asking for Google reviews, you're going to have to take the good with the bad. So make sure that you're only going to get what? Good. How can you make sure you only get good reviews? How can you make sure you only get good reviews? If you've done a 21-point checklist with somebody, how many bad reviews are you going to get? Yeah, do good work, Artie. That's right. The rule allows for clients to receive cash or non-cash compensation for giving a testimonial. However, the advisor must disclose the material terms for any compensation arrangement to include description of direct compensation provided resulting from the investment advisor relationship to the client. To be clear, although the rule allows for the payment of direct or indirect compensation, a firm's compliance department may not. So even though that the law says you can do it, your compliance department may not allow you to do that. You'll have to consult with them for that. Advisors need to have a clear understanding of what is permitted to remain in compliance with their firms as well. Now, what you shouldn't do, though, is what? The SEC is establishing more expectations for marketing and rule compliance through enforcement actions which are focused on performance. So the one thing you should absolutely stay away from is what? They should say you're great. They should say your communication is outstanding. They should say that you listen to them. They should say that you've helped them accomplish their goals. But what should you never, ever, 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 ever say? That's right, Artie, returns. No returns. Don't talk about returns. That's how you're going to get mired in a problem. That's how you're going to get mired in a problem. So the best way to do this, though, is to focus on the relationship. Clients don't usually mention investment returns. Instead, they concentrate on the relationship that they have with advisors. So the best way to get testimonials is to focus on the relationship. And how did I get testimonials? Even when I was an RIA in the late 90s and in the year 2000, what did I use for testimonials, even though testimonials weren't allowed? And these are still the best testimonials to use, the absolute best testimonials. What was the only artwork I had on my wall? Yes, pictures. Pictures. And again, this is not my picture, but this is how it was. It wasn't lined up perfectly square. It wasn't picture, and then like lines and rows of pictures. That looks like you've set up like they're going to prison or something. It was a collage like this where it was haphazardly splattered. And every time somebody walked into my office, guess what? They always went and looked at that, and the only thing they saw was what? Happy clients. And many times, especially in my community where I only had 100,000 people, they always found people they knew up there. Now, did the smiling face say anything? No, but what it told them is what? They obviously wouldn't be up there and smiling unless they were happy with me. That is by far now, again, this is in your office. If I was back in practice, I would make sure I had all 175 clients give me a Google review, and they would all have given me a Google review. So you'd want that. But in your office, this is a great way to have testimonials front and center. It's the only artwork that should be on your wall. And who knows, those of you that said it was a collage, where did I get all those pictures? Where did all those pictures come from? Did I snap a picture while they were in my office? No. Where did all those pictures come from? Where did all those pictures come from? They came from my summer barbecues and my winter Christmas light tours. And everybody had we had like 90% plus people of my clients come to our summer barbecues. We didn't have that kind of turnout for the Christmas light tours because a lot of them were down south. But at our barbecue, we had 90% of our clients came to our barbecues. They loved our barbecues. And we didn't spend a ton of money. We did it on the fly, dang cheap for our barbecues. But they were there because we did it at a cool venue that everybody loved to go to. And they were fed. We had a magician there. We had music, but all done on the cheap. And they had a great time. That's where most of our pictures came from. Some of them came from the Christmas lights, which means there's no time like the present. Those are that you want to start doing that and getting those pictures. If you go to our site, Low Cost Marketing, Holiday Lights Tour, Missy and Tricia have updated that Holiday Lights Tour manual because it was like 4 or 5 years old. They've updated it with great ideas on how you can do it in today's world. Guys, people love Christmas lights. It's a great way to sit down, have time with them, and small groups of people, like a small bus, small limo, where you can go do this Christmas lights and really get to know people, have them invite their friends and family. It's a great way to start to get referrals, get people to know you, and it's a great way to start getting these pictures up on your wall. Make sense? So go ahead and at least, guys, look at that, take a look at it, and it's all in there at this point. So any questions on any of that? Okay, well then we are on who knows what subject we're on. Last week we covered medical health, we covered, medical power of attorney, so what are we going to cover today? The most important half of the medical power of attorney, which is the what? Quality of life directive. Where's your other half? Oh, it's directives for handling your affairs. Are medical decisions easy or hard? Are gray decisions even harder? Here's an example of me. If it's hard for me to make my own decision, how hard would it be somebody else to make a decision for me? Is all the family the same, or could people have differing opinions on how somebody should be taken care of? It's a huge burden for the person who has a healthcare power of attorney if they don't have the most important part of the payer, which is the quality of life directive. Then I ask them why. So after all of this, why is it necessary? What kind of advisor would I be if I didn't cover this? So let's see how we do on that. So we'll go here. This is service for all of our clients. Why do you think we do that?
Just to make sure that they have the information and you're doing all the things to help your clients.
That's exactly why we do that. Yeah. So now, the one thing about your healthcare power of attorney, though, is it looks like it's missing the most important half.
Okay.
Is this all of your?
Yeah, that's everything.
The reason I bring that up, and this does happen sometimes, is that your healthcare power of attorney is working. The part you have is working perfectly. But the most direction it's giving the person you have appointed is do not resuscitate. But is that the only medical decision we'll ever need to make, is whether we should turn off the switch or not, or are there lots of other medical decisions that need to be made?
No, I mean, there are a lot of decisions that could have to be made.
A lot of them. And what's missing from here is what we call a healthcare directive, or giving directives to that person you've appointed on exactly how you want to be treated for any number of things. Because are all decisions easy when it comes to healthcare?
No, they're not easy.
Well, for example, let's say that I'm appointed as healthcare power of attorney for somebody, and they're not able to make their own decisions, and they break their leg, and the doctor comes in and says, well, we can set the leg, or we can let it heal on itself and they'll walk funny for the rest of their life. What am I going to say?
Well, set the leg.
How hard is that decision?
No, that's not a hard decision.
Or is it more cut and dried?
No, it's pretty cut and dry.
Cut and dry. But is every decision that cut and dry?
No.
No. So are some decisions in the gray area, or are they all those black and white?
No, I'd say most decisions are probably in the gray area.
I'd agree with you. Most of them are. So let's talk about a couple of examples here. And this is a healthcare directive, the kind of things they would do. So, for example, how important is pain control? Now, if you ask me and my wife, how important is pain control? I mean, we're not crazy. What do we both say?
Yeah, it's important.
Duh, it's important. Now, but if they peel one layer of the onion back and ask one more question, say, well, how important is having pain controlled even if my ability to think clearly is reduced? Now I'm a baby. Guess what I say? Yeah. If I have to be knocked out to control pain, guess what I say?
Knock me out.
Knock me out. But my wife, she's more wants to be in control. So she say, if I have to be in pain so I can still be clear-headed, then what would she do with pain control?
Probably just go ahead and be in pain.
Right. Now, on the surface, we sounded like we were what?
The same.
But when we peel just one layer back, we find out we're the same or quite a bit different.
No, you're quite a bit different.
Quite a bit different. And we'll take it to another one. How important is using life-prolonging treatment? Well, both of us, guess what we say?
Yeah.
But if you start to throw some gray areas in there, for example, what if they said that, let's just talk about me. If the doctor comes to me and says, listen, you have a debilitating illness, it's going to get worse and worse over time. You're going to go from healthy to in a wheelchair to needing help bathing, eating, toileting over time. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is we do have a surgery. It's experimental. And we could do the surgery where you got a 50% chance of being totally healed and healthy for the rest of your life, but you have a 50% chance of dying on the table. Now, is that a gray decision or is that a black and white decision?
Well, I mean, it's a difficult decision for sure.
Well, I have to think about it for myself.
Yeah, you probably want to think about it.
Or, oh, yeah, let's just do it. So, because I could have 3 or 4 years good.
Yeah, that's true.
Or I could die on the table.
Right.
Now, if that decision is hard for me, could you imagine trying to make that decision for somebody else, on somebody else's body?
Yeah, that would be tough.
That would be tough. And is everybody the same, or is everybody a little different?
No, people are different.
We just found out that my wife and I are what? Same or different?
You're different.
Yeah. And so do you think your kids are the exact same?
No, they're different.
They're different. Now, so if let's say that they come to
healthcare power of attorney, and they say, let's say it's one of your children, and they say, this is going to happen to mom or dad. They're going to slowly degrade, and they're going to need help with bathing and help with toileting eventually, etc. Or we can take this experimental surgery. And now, do you think there would be a possibility of other children having different opinions on whether they should do the surgery or keep mom or dad for that 2 or 3 years for sure?
Yeah, everybody's going to have a different idea.
Right. And if you have to make that decision, and let's say somebody makes that decision, and the siblings don't agree, and they decide, you know what, let's go ahead and take the surgery. And then they put them on the table and they die. Now what could happen? What could the other siblings think about the person who made the decision?
They're going to think they obviously made the wrong decision.
Mm-hmm.
Who's listening to me right now, the husband or the wife? Who's enwrapped with what I'm talking about and is going through the head saying, oh yeah, this all makes sense. We need this thing. Yeah, the wife is. That's exactly what I want to be getting on my side.
And is that a tiny wrong decision, or in their mind this is what?
That's
I
huge.
hope in everybody's mind it's what?
That's huge.
Yeah. So could things be said that could never be unsaid?
Oh yeah,
and could that tear a family apart?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So is that a good reason or a bad reason to have this?
That's a great reason to have it.
The other thing, even if the kids agree, let's think about this. When they said that the parent was going to start to degrade over time, and the child thinks, well, you know what, mom and dad wouldn't want to live that way. I know they wouldn't, so we're going to go ahead and put them on the table in that 50-50. And again, unfortunately, that the mom or dad dies. Is it even a possibility they might start to think, did I make that decision because it was what mom or dad wanted, or did I make that decision because I didn't want to be the caretaker, bathing and toileting? I mean, could that, our kids love us, but could that start to burden them for the rest of their lives if the decision was wrong?
Yeah, I mean, those ideas are for sure going to creep in.
Yeah. So again, this, just like the survivor's guide, is this for you or is this for the person you appoint?
That's for the person we appoint.
Yeah. And the way I look at it is I would not appoint my worst enemy as my healthcare power of attorney without this document. Why?
Well,
guys, this part is so important. This tells you whether they get how important a quality of life directive is. It gets them saying, I need that thing. Not having this thing is a bad thing. I wonder why my advisor didn't have me. It is this thing saying where I would not appoint my worst enemy as my healthcare opportunity without this document. It's so important. So it clarifies in their mind why this document is so important.
Because they're not going to have any idea what to do.
What can happen if they don't have any idea what to do with siblings and even with themselves?
Yeah, there can be guilt and arguments, all kinds of things.
Things we want or don't want.
Don't want.
So why would this be a good thing to have?
Well, just so everybody's clear on what to do, if anything.
And again, guys, how many questions first of all, did I make any statements? Do I ever make any statements in these videos? They're all open-ended questions. And could Jeff ever answer the question in any way that I thought, other than how I thought he would answer? I mean, how many people were going to answer those questions differently than how Jeff is answering them? Or Jeff just being nice to me because he's doing a role play? He's just doing what I want him to say because that's script is. No. If you ask these questions this way, these people will say the exact thing you want them to say. That's why so many guys, the first time they do a Successful 21, they call up and they're like, oh my God, this is so, it's like I sent the client the script the night before because they said exactly what I wanted them to say. They said exactly what you said they're going to say, Mike. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I wrote most of these scripts in 1997. So for how many years in the future did I predict what your clients would say today? 2 decades. I said, you know what, 2 decades in the future, this is what your client's going to say. And guess what? They say it. In fact, I could do it right now and say, 2 more decades in the future, ask them these questions and guess what the client's going to say. What I said they're going to say, because we ask questions that we already know the answer to. They can only answer them one way. Now I got to get them. So I've gotten wanting this document. Is that enough? They want this document now. At least the wife does. Is that enough? No. What do they need to say? What do they need to say for this to be a successful script? Getting them to want this document is not going to be enough. It's worthless. Bert says, my guy didn't do this on purpose. No, they're not going to say that. I mean, they're not going to. If they bring up their guy, that means I made a mistake. Because do I ever mention their guy, Bert? I never mention their guy. So what are they supposed to say? Yeah, they're going to say this is important, but that's worthless. Ah, there we got it. What kind of advisor would I be? Mark and Ben got it. What kind of advisor would I be? Nope. Mark, what happens if you did not have? Nope. Ben's got it. What kind of advisor would I be if I didn't cover this? That's the thing. If they don't say that, everything else is worthless. Guys, what is the purpose of the non-financial? What do they have to say at the end of all the non-financials? Yes, Mike, you'd be a bad advisor if you did not do this. Because if they say that, again, they're going to say that on 5, 6 different topics. They're going to say it minimum 3 times. I have them say it 5, 6, 7 times. So minimum 15 times, maybe up to 30 times, 40 times, that if I didn't cover these things, I'd be a bad advisor. Eventually, they're going to connect it up and say, wait a minute, Mike, you're not my advisor. My guy's my advisor. He's the bad advisor. That's what I want them to say. If I don't do that, having them want these things is worthless. Having them want these things is worthless to you. Because can they get an advance directive at any hospital? If they ask for their advisor for an advance directive, would he figure out how to get them one? Yeah. They can get this thing anywhere. Remember, the purpose of this is, yes, to get them an advance directive. But the real purpose is for them to start to connect the dots at what? My guy didn't even cover this. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would their financial advisor even cover a quality of life directive? Why would they even cover a healthcare directive? Well, the client's thinking that, so I have to walk them through why he should be. So, and I do that in the form of an apology.
Yeah, right. So you just go ahead and fill out these questions. Again, there's no urgency, so it's not one of those urgent things. It's a what again?
That's important.
Important, and then you go ahead and get it notarized.
Okay.
Okay. So again, I'm kind of being a Debbie Downer today, aren't I?
Yeah, kind of.
So I do apologize, but am I a doctor?
No.
Do I get paid to help you with these things?
No, not that I know.
So sometimes I scratch my head why even bring these up. But if you think about it, what's the one expense that could completely wipe out 30 years of savings in retirement?
Oh, if you end up in the hospital.
Yeah. So healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So if I, as a financial advisor, again, if I'm just an investment salesperson, I'm just going to talk about the investments. But if I'm a financial advisor, is the one expense that can completely wipe out your...
What did I just do right there, guys? What did I just do right there with the last 30 seconds? What did I just do right there? I helped them identify who as a what. I helped them identify who as a what. We'll do Mad Libs. And play it again. We're at 2850. Let's see, we go back here.
That could completely wipe out 30 years of savings in retirement.
Oh, if you end up in the hospital.
Yeah. So healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So if I, as a financial advisor, again, if I'm just an investment salesperson, I'm just going to talk about the investments. But if I'm a financial advisor, is the one expense that can completely wipe out your retirement savings financial?
Okay, so who did I advise? Who did I identify as what? And I've got some people saying, Mike, that you're a financial advisor. That's not what I want. Yeah, that's the case. That's not what I want. No, Tom's got it. What's the real thing? What's the whole purpose of the 21-point checklist? Is to have them figure out what? Their guy is what? Not to be trusted. So I just had them identify their guy as a what? An advisor or a salesman? Listen to it again. This is important.
Help you with these things?
No, not that I know.
So sometimes I scratch my head why even bring these up. But if you think about it, what's the one expense that could completely wipe out 30 years of savings in retirement?
Oh, if you end up in the hospital.
Yeah. So healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So if I, as a financial advisor, again, if I'm just an investment salesperson, I'm just going to talk about the investments. But if I'm a financial advisor, is the one expense that can completely wipe...
What's their guy do? He just talks about what? Every time they get together with him, what does he spend 100% of his time talking about? Their investments. So they start to, and again, maybe the husband is blocking this out, but the wife is saying, he is just the what? What does the wife say at this point? You're right. He is. I always know he was, but now I've got proof that he's just a what? Because he always only talks about the investments, never about this stuff. He's only a what? Salesman. That's what we want them to do.
Wipe out your retirement savings, financial. Is that a financial?
No, it's a medical thing.
A medical thing. But the medical thing ends up costing what?
A lot of money.
So is that a financial thing or not?
Well, yeah, then that is a financial thing.
Yeah. And we said the hospitals are concerned about giving you the best care or giving you the best care and making sure that they make money at the same time.
Well, they want to make money.
And a lot of times, even at the end, a lot of money is spent. So they're going to do all these procedures that will extend your life for 2 or 3 days. Is that necessarily what you'd want to do?
No, that's not what I would want to do. But
most people, some people, and if you did, you could write it down, right?
Right.
But most people don't want that to be. They'd rather go home and die peacefully. But guess what? The hospital's power of attorney is going to say?
No, you have to stay.
Stay and run up the bills and die peacefully, or die with them trying to extend your life by second by second.
Right. Second by second.
So if I ignored this as a financial advisor, these medical things, what kind of an advisor would I be?
You wouldn't be a very good advisor.
No, I wouldn't. So does that make sense to have that in place? And again, sorry for covering these other things, but these things are kind of under the surface of your finances, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and are they important or not important in the long run?
No, they're important.
Yeah. So the next thing we would like to talk about is identity.
So guys, see, another now, because we did power of attorney, and then we did medical power of attorney and healthcare director. So now they've said twice, once for power of attorney, once for quality of life directive. And again, I want them to say each time 3 or 4 times each time, but they've now identified 2 reasons why their advisor is just a salesman, not an advisor. And am I done here, or do I have many other non-financial before we get to the end of the non-financial? Do you think some people are now starting to identify, connect the dots in their mind? Because I haven't brought up their guy. I don't want them to defend their guy. I'm not going to bring up their guy. But do you think in their minds they're starting to think, I wonder why am I getting to bring this up? You know, he only does talk about investments. I guess, well, maybe he is only a salesman. I never thought of it that way before. Are some clients having that go on in their head? And again, I'm just starting. Make sense? And this is all. We're at 30 minutes into the meeting, and now, again, I had some preempt here, but 30 minutes in the meeting, and I haven't even brought up investments yet. Is this what they thought? What did they think I was going to immediately jump into when they came to see me? The money. And I'm not talking about the money at all, right? But I am talking about their finances. I am talking about things that concern them financially, just not about the things I get paid to do. This is what creates trust in me. This is what creates doubt in their guy. And I never bring up their advisor until we're 45 minutes into the meeting. Why? Because if I don't bring up their guy, can they defend their guy? No. Make sense? So any other questions on this? Okay, well then we'll, for people that are going to be on the script call, we'll start at about 5 to the hour, at 5 to the hour. So in about 7 minutes, we'll go ahead and do the script call. Everybody else that was on the call today, got some good ideas about your name change if you ever decide to do that, and I highly recommend you do that. We got some reasons why, or we got a new tool here on doing the Christmas Lights Tour, on getting testimonials, and so please, you don't have to do all the ideas, but grab an idea. Grab it by the horns and do it. Good ideas are worthless if you don't implement them. So figure out what you want to do this December here with one of these ideas and put that into action. Thanks for being on this call. I'll talk to you all next Monday, and then everybody else is going to be on the script call. I'll talk to you here in about 7-8 minutes. Thanks.